To make the most out of your vacation, I would suggest making a detailed travel itinerary. But where do you start when making a travel itinerary? I am going to share that with you today. When I decide on a trip location, I first make a list of all the places that I want to see in that location. Most of the time, this is why you chose to go to this spot. Like if I choose to go to Colorado, most likely I'm going to see the mountains. If I'm going to Hawaii, I'm probably there to see some of the beaches. That's where I start. I start listing down all of the activities of where I want to go. I have a PDF that you can download from my website, and this is a nice little worksheet that you can print out and start writing down the activities you want to go. Great places to start doing research are YouTube. You can also filter so it's the current year, so you're not getting something that was 8 years ago and could be outdated. Pinterest is a great spot to see photos and get connected to blogs that people have written about those locations. I like to use Instagram because you get to see all kinds of great photos. And if I see an awesome photo of a place, I'm probably going to add it to my list. You can do a Google search. This is a great place to look for something specific. You can ask your friends and family if they've been to those places what they would recommend. Another thing you may not think about is joining a Facebook group of the place that you're wanting to go. I'm a photographer, so I look for places that have photographic vistas and beaches and anything that would be a great place to take a photo. I might search most photographic beaches in Hawaii. If you want to go to the beach, you can look up what are the best beaches in Hawaii. If you want to go hiking, search what are the best places to hike in Hawaii. Like I said before, there's usually a reason why you chose this location. This is the brainstorming phase. Write down everything that you come across that you may want to go. It doesn't mean you have to go to these places, just write them all down so you don't forget. While I'm compiling my list, I sort them into regions. For example, when I went to Ireland, I put them into regions of where they were located. It will be impossible to see everything in one trip, especially if you're looking at going to more than one country or state. Once I have my list, I then make a map and I map out all of these spots to see if they're close by, far away, what makes most sense to get a hotel in. You can do this with Google Maps or you can draw your own maps. I've done both. After I've mapped out all of these locations, I decide where are the most activities at. And that's probably where I'm going to want to find a place to stay. I like to write down a few of them and then look at the reviews. Are they great reviews or terrible reviews and you should never go to that hotel? It's amazing what people share about their stays. If there's only one bad review out of 20, I think you're good to go. There was probably some circumstance that occurred that made them not enjoy their stay. If I'm going to be there more than 2 nights, I will look for an Airbnb or a VRBO. If I'm only going to be in this location for 1 or 2 nights, then I would look for a hotel because it's going to be more reasonable. Now I've decided where we're going to go and where I want to stay. Next, I make an outline of the days we're going to be there and I start plugging in the activities per day. What am I going to see on day 1? What am I going to see day 2? Then I can see it all in one place of what is possible to do in one day. Make sure you include drive time. Because if it takes 2 hours to get to the next location, you're going to want to make sure you include that in your agenda. As you make your outline, you may realize you have way too many activities to fit in the number of days you're going to be there. So you could either add a day or 2 if that's a possibility, or you're going to have to cut down your activities. Or you may realize you have a whole day that you can put more activities in, so you can go back to the research phase and get some more activities. Here are some things you're going to want to consider as you look through the activities. Do you need reservations? Some activities will fill up quick if you don't reserve it weeks in advance. Activities could also be cheaper if you reserve them ahead of time. Does weather impact your activity? If you want to go on a helicopter ride around Hawaii, you may want to schedule that for one of the first days you're there In case the weather is bad, they can reschedule it for another day. If you scheduled it the last day of your trip and it's too windy to go out, you're going to be pretty disappointed. When we climbed our 14er in Colorado, I had 3 possible days that we could do it. If the first day was too stormy, I could do it the second day or the third day. Will the activity be open when you're there? Always check the website to make sure it's open. They could be closed for remodeling, or they could be closed for the season and you miss it by 1 week. We wanted to take a ferry one time and they didn't run ferries the day that we had planned it to go, so we had to kind of shift our schedule around. Are there any requirements or restrictions that you need to have in order to do the activity? If you want to go scuba diving but you're not scuba certified, you're going to have to build that in to your week. Maybe you have high blood pressure or you're pregnant. Some activities don't allow you to do them if you have a medical condition. Who's coming with you? Think about the ages of your travelers. Is the level of hiking really strenuous and you're bringing your grandma? You might want to reconsider which hike you decide to go on. Another thing to think about is how far is the parking lot from where you're going to go hiking. I've gone to a place where, it has a great big parking lot, but you have to walk a mile to get to the attraction. The day of the week can matter on how busy it is. If you're going to a really popular destination and you plan to do this activity on a Saturday, but a lot of locals go there on the weekends, you may want to schedule it for a Wednesday or a Thursday. How big is your group? If you have a really large group, you may want to break it up into 2 groups. One can do a more strenuous hike, one can do a more leisure hike, or maybe some want to go to the beach for the day and some want to explore the jungle. Or do they accommodate very large groups? You may have to split up your group, even if you don't want to. Will you be driving or flying? This can really dictate what you are able to do and not able to do. If you're driving, you can bring more specialty items. Like if I'm driving to Colorado, I may decide to bring my hiking poles. If I'm flying, I may not have room to bring my hiking poles. Just know what you can bring and what you can't bring based on if you're driving or flying. Are you wanting to hang by the pool all day, or are you going to want to do some more adventurous activities like zip lining or water sports? What type of accommodation do you want? Do you want a secluded cabin? Or do you want a high-rise hotel on the beach? These all come into play when you're deciding the activities you want to go on as well as where you want to stay. Something I started doing was planning out my day like I was there. Like, okay, today's Monday. I am going to go to the ruins of this awesome castle in the morning. Then we're going to drive about an hour to a really cute town for lunch. And I've checked to make sure that the cafe is open that I want to go to. And then we go to the next activity in the afternoon. It might be a hike along the coastline. And then we go back to our hotel. I kind of play out the activity. This will help you with packing too. What do I need to bring for this activity that day? How much planning you do each day is completely up to you. Do you want to jam pack your day with lots of activities? Or do you want to build in a relaxation day or 2? This is completely up to you and the type of traveler that you are. I tend to like more activities in my day. I'm not really a lounge by the pool kind of person. If I'm going on a really strenuous hike, the next day I'm not going to want to do another strenuous hike. I'm going to want to maybe sleep in the morning and relax. Depending on what you all want to see, it's important to plan it all out. You don't want to be disappointed when you get there and you couldn't fit everything in because you didn't plan it out. I also always leave room for recommendations from locals or those places that you didn't realize were there until you were at a different activity and said, oh, they do that. And you may want to say, okay, I left the last day to do whatever we wanted to do based on our previous activities. So I may say, I want to go back to that park because I thought it was really cool and maybe it was rainy that day, so I want to go back. Always leave a little bit of room in your itinerary for those extras. Remember, Your itinerary is not set in stone. You can change it at any time. Before you leave, during your trip, things happen and they don't always go as planned. So just know, if you say you're going to a place on your itinerary, that doesn't always mean you're going to that place. We've been disappointed before because we didn't check to see if it was open, or it was raining that day and we didn't anticipate it to be raining. Always know things are going to change, no matter how well planned out you are. A week before we leave, I will check the weather and see if anything needs to be moved around in our itinerary, or I need to grab clothes that I didn't think I was going to need, but now I do need. You will also want to make sure that anything that needs to be pre-booked is booked, and that you have a confirmation number or a way of looking it up when you get there. You are now as prepared as you possibly can be for an awesome vacation. I would love for you to subscribe and continue getting these great tips for your next vacation. Happy travels!